Hi everyone. Today I'm just going to talk briefly about how to get more melodicism in one's playing. There are specific things you can do to do this. It's like it's some magic trick that suddenly you play drums in a melodic way. It really is something that you practice. When you practice melodic thinking and work on some of these concepts, it'll really help you bring that aspect to your playing. So I thought I would talk about a couple of things that are in the blog. One is just playing melodies to tunes on just one drum surface, usually the snare drum. And the thing about this to be careful of, there's a couple of things. One, to really leave whatever spaces are in the melody. Don't try and rush through them or fill them up with some sort of timekeeping function. I often get people they're either playing hi-hat in 2 and 4 while they're doing this. It's a good exercise, but I think it's also good to really not do anything that isn't the melody. We're pretending in this case that we're Sonny Rollins. We're playing Sunny Moon for 2. We're not being Elvin Jones in this case. We're not the drummer anymore. We're the melodic person. We are the frontline person. Or even just moving anything that isn't actually creating the melody. I think that's a good habit to get into when you do this. The other thing too is be careful with the eighth notes. This often happens with people is when they're playing eighth notes in a jazz context, they play them as a triplet with the middle note left out. It doesn't happen so much in this tune, but especially in bebop tunes, you don't want to play a rhythm like ba-ba-doo-da. You don't want to go, right? There isn't a horn player in the world that plays it that way. They go ba-ba-doo-da. The eighth notes in most jazz tunes, if you actually listen to them, are quite straight. And this often is an issue for us as drummers. I think we just learn, it's jazz, so it needs to be a triplet with the middle note left out when we're playing eighth notes, and that's not really the case. Even in this tune, Sunny Moon for 2, for those of you that don't know, it's ba da ba 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 da ba do da 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 ba do da 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 ba da 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 ba do ba ba do da 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 ba do da 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 ba da 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 ba do ba ba do da 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 ba do da da da. Actually, some of the rhythms in that tune too are played differently sometimes too, so it's good to cross references with some of these tunes. But you notice that those eighth notes are fairly straight. So I'm going to play the melody that way, even though there are other ways that Sonny plays that melody sometimes. So, it's definitely good to get these melodies from a few different recorded sources. Okay, so here we go. Here's the melody just on the snare drum. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And hopefully when you hear that, you'll hear the idea that, hopefully you can still hear the rhythm behind me. It's almost like, I would have a bassist and drummer keeping time for me while I'm playing that melody. But we want to feel all those spaces and not rush through them. Okay, the other thing I would talk about a little bit in terms of this sort of stuff is the idea of repeating pitch patterns. So if we look at a tune like Sunny Moon for 2, it's a 4-bar tune, really. It's a blues, but it's a 4-bar riff that's repeated 3 times over different parts of the blues progression. This is a very common device in blues tunes. So what that means is there's just this 4-bar little cell idea that's repeated 3 times, and you notice, if you listen to the recording, Sonny plays the same notes on each of those 4-bar sections. So it really doesn't make sense for us when we're starting to translate these melodies to drums to change the pitches of that every time. I could do something like that. Say I'm going to play Sunny Moon for 2, and I'll play just a chorus of it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I played the melody of the tune, or the rhythm to the melody of the tune. But one thing you can also give melodies more context is if you follow the contours of the melody. And this is a great example because this tune basically it just sort of goes down that 4-bar thing. Da 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 da. It's really that contour of the melody going downwards. Mainly, it goes up for a second. So that should be fairly easy for us to replicate on this instrument. So I might do something like 1, 2, 3, 4. Be careful. I'm noticing on there, maybe the bass drum needs to be a little louder on some of those notes. We don't want any notes to be missing, okay? So, and you can assign any sort of pitch pattern you want. It doesn't really matter. Just get used to repeating them. And this is also something that will help you as you're improvising. That will also help you work this stuff. Those are some ways to just start to be thinking more of melody as you're playing. We can talk about more ways as time goes on. Another thing is, whatever you practice, sing a melody while you're doing it. That you get all sorts of things out of that in terms of being able to concentrate on both the lick you're playing and hearing a melody, and always having a bigger context to what you're playing. And so when you're actually playing on tunes with a band, you're always going to hear some of that tune while, no matter what's going on, no matter how abstract it's getting, some part of your mind will just be repeating that melody over and over to you, and that really will give you a lot of freedom. Okay, so I think we'll leave it there, and thanks.